we will be more on discussing the kinds of grading system and how grades are being computed. Are you ready now for the next topic? And then after this, I'll be giving activities for you to answer. So you have to listen very carefully in the computation. So let's proceed now. Okay, the grading system. Now remember, it is a way of rating the quality, worth, rank, or order of things on how well someone performs. So very important ang grades, and we really need to be careful in computing the grades. If you are the teacher, this is one of the most crucial tasks that you have to do. Take note, a single grade might destroy your student. A single grade might boost the morale of your students. So you need to be very, very careful in keeping grades. Okay, there are different kinds or forms of grades. We have the letter grade, the numerical grade, qualitative grade, and percentage grade. So this is the sample of the letter grade, the A+, A-, but this one is quite hard to interpret if the parents can only see the letter grade, yung letter lang. But perhaps it is better if we give the numerical grade, yung mismong number. And in percentage, to change it to percentage, we all know that you just simply divide the raw score by the total times 100 to make it the percentage. So if you will be converting the one that we have used in the data a while ago, doon sa computing na measures of central tendencies, ando na po yung mga percentage noon. Naka-percentage na po ang grade ng mga bata. Pero pag mga numerical grade, yung mga raw score nila, you get 5, you get 7 out of 10, and so on and so forth. Okay? Now, this one is more on descriptors, rubrics. Ito yung qualitative. You have to describe each performance of the student. Basically, ang dami. How to sing, how to dance, how to rate, depende sa performance ng estudyante. Now, the grading system, you have to classify and rank them depending on the given particular scale. The kinds of grading system, the criterion reference. Now, in criterion reference, your basis here should always be your criteria or standards. Meaning, whatever the grade of the student, it should be compared to the expectation or expected performance or expected standard or criteria or criterion being given by the teacher. Kung ano yung ine-expect nyo. Now, here, let's say, for example, the highest grade should be 90. If you reach the 90 automatically, that means you have reached the extent of your performance, or if that will be the highest score for you. But if it will be 100, which is the perfect score, so that will be your basis. There should be certain criteria that you have set as the basis for your rating of the performance of your students. So lagi yung merong expectation. But in the next one, in cumulative, na mention ko na kanina, the student earn their grades by combining, getting a point from the previous grade to the current grade. It might be the 70-30, meaning 30% coming from the previous grade, then 70% coming from the current grade, and then you have to add the two. That will be the grade that is cumulative. Or it may be, in our case, your midterm plus your final divided by 2, or you just add getting the 40% of your midterm, the 60% of your final, and then combine it. That is still cumulative. Sa iba kasi 50-50, 70-30, it depends on what grading system is being asked, or the components or the weight of each component will be used. So naka-set up na siya doon. Okay, next one is letter grade. I have mentioned that already to you, usually being used where in kindergarten. Sa inyo, maraming gagamit na ganito. Then, norm reference. When we talk of norm reference, where do we compare the grade of our student here? Kung dun sa criterion, we are comparing the grades of the students' performance sa criteria. What about in norm reference? Where do we compare? Very good. You just compare it with the other students. That's why here there is ranking. We have first, second, third, fourth. Now, you might be good in one section if you are joining slow learners, But if you move to other sections which are fast learners, you might be lower than them. No, iba-iba. You have a different rank. Basically, depending on the group where you belong, kung saan ka napasama. So this time, performance of one is compared to other performance. That's why ranking is coming. May ranking dito. Unlike sa criterion reference, no. If everyone reached the grade of 90, lahat kayo dyan, 90. Cum laude kayo lahat dyan. Or you get a grade of 70 below, or fail lahat yan. Hindi kayo nakapasa kasi the passing grade is 70. So you need to set the standard if it is criterion. Now, averaging, very simple. In calculating this, you will just add all the grades divided by the sum of all the numerical grades. Parang kumukuha ka lang ng measures of central tendencies, your mean, the median, and the mode here. Pero generally here, you just compute all the grades in your performance, in your written works, in your quarterly exams, or major exams. That's it. And then divided by the number of performance, dividing by the number of written, divided by the number of how many quizzes has been given. So, pag subjects naman, all the subjects, you just add all the subjects and then divided by the number of the subjects. So, that is averaging. Okay, relative grading system. Where do we use the relative grading system? We are using this in the norm reference, kung saan merong first, second, and third. And if our students are more on heterogeneous, medyo mahina, may marunong, merong mahinang-mahina. Now, in this case, we use to convert our outcomes of student tests, project, or assignment, take note, and adjust the final grade in relation to the grades of other students in the course. Kaya nga, norm reference. Ito na yung pumapasok na merong times 50 plus 50. May base 50, may base 70, may base 30. Kapag base 30 ang ginamit mo, raw score times 70 plus 30. Kapag 60 ang ginamit mo, raw score times 40 plus 60. Anyway, I'll show you later. So, tandaan, relative, saan mo siya i-connect? Sa norm reference. Because here, the final grade you can get is being adjusted to the grades from other students in the course. Okay, let's move now to the alternative grading system. Now, in alternative grading system, you can develop other forms of the grading system. Pwede po yung performance-based, gamitan ng mga rubrics, o portfolio, or journal, anything that you can get just to give the grade of the student. In other way around, the teacher is making their own strategies on how to evaluate the student to avoid confusions, just to get the way on how to encourage and incorporate it into the classroom. Gagawa tayo, hanap tayo ng other form of grading system that could encourage our student to participate more in the class. Now, absolute. Now, this is the opposite of relative. In absolute, we are using this in criterion reference. Kasi base 0 ito. Whatever your grade, that will be your grade. So, kung meron kayong 100 item score or 100 item exam, no? And you got 50, automatically, there is no need for computation because your grade is already 50 if it is 100. Why? Because 50 over 100 times 100 is 50. Or you got 20. 20 times 20 divided by 100 times 100 is also 20. So whatever your score, that will be your score if it is an absolute grading system because it is a base 0. Walang dagdag, walang bawas kapag absolute grading system. I'll show you later ang example natin. Okay, this is it. This is the example of the absolute grading system. In CABSU, our passing rate is 70, right? 70 ang passing rate natin. So, if ever you got a grade of 30 in the examination out of 60 items, so simply multiply it by 100. And then you will get 50%. And so sad to say that 50% is lower than 70%, and that means you fail. So that is in the absolute. Walang dagdag, walang bawas. Kahit kasi base 0 yan eh. Base 0, 30 divided by 60 times 50. or plus 0 times 0, wala din siyang value. So that's why it is base 0. Nothing is being added to the score. Nothing is being adjusted. But mainly what you get is what you got. Yun yun. Okay? Paano naman ang relative? Ayan po. This example is a base 50. 50 plus 50 is 100, no? What we add is 50. Yun ang added. Yun ang base. So here, the same score, 30 over 60. But you have to multiply it by 50, not 100, plus 50, which is your base, and you will get 75%. So that is now related to norm reference. Nag-a-adjust tayo ng final grades ng bata or grades ng bata. Now, depende sa base na gusto mong idagdag. Parang pinamigay mo yung 50 points. No? Times 50. Unlike sa criterion, wala. Times 100 ka kaagad. Here, times 50 pa plus 50, given ang 50 mo. So, if you will be comparing your 75, doon sa 70% passing, your grade is already pass. Now, what is your assessment about it? How can you assess the absolute and the relative? What is your reaction? Any reaction from the group upon knowing the way on how to compute the absolute and the relative grading system? Si Ma'am Bel kaya, ano kayang ginagamit? Absolute or relative? Sana relative para mas mataas grades namin. Ganun ba yun? Ganun po ba yun? Any reaction from the group, please? Can I have a certain reaction about absolute and relative? Volunteer, can I ask someone? Yes po, what can you say about it? Yun na mas gusto mo. Why? So, okay lang sa'yo, mamigay ka ng 50 nang walang hirap. Okay? Okay. Hindi naman kayo parunungan. Ang gusto nyo talaga matuto ang bata. Okay? So, in that case, no, you prefer the relative grading system. But it depends, no? It depends on what the administrator will tell you, ha? Kasi siyempre, pinag-uusapan niya ng school, ito ang ating grading system na susundin. We cannot go against the administrator pag ganon. We have our academic freedom in deciding on what strategies are we going to use on how to teach our students. Pero in relation sa grading system, it should be consulted with your department head, with your coordinator, with the principal, and you will come up with the same grading system. So whether it is relative or absolute, we really need to follow. Okay? But we have our own strategy on how to do it. But if you will try to give more consideration to your student, you will be using the relative grading system. And if you noticed here, when you are using this, like this one, another example, this is a base 30. Yung kanina, base 50. Kita niya, pag base 50, 75 ang nakuha niya. Ha? Pero sa base 30, ang nakuha niya ay 65. So, what do you notice? Kanina, base 50, 75. Pero pag base 30, 65 ang kuha niya. So, what do you notice here? Use your chat box here to answer if you do not want to speak up. Yes, Flo. Ano po nangyari? What did you find out? Kanina, base 50, tapos ngayon, base 30. Sa base 50, 75. Sa base 30, 65. So, what did you notice? What did you find out? If you notice, 70, 30, 100. 50, 50, 100. Kaya lang dito, ang base natin 30. 30 lang ang ating additional. Dun sa isa, 50 ang additional. And then you have mentioned, ano nangyari sa grades? Bumagsak. Kanina, pasado yung 75. Pasa pa yun, di ba? Okay. So, anong ibig sabihin nun? What is your analysis now? Kanina, 50, base 50, pasado. Pero nung naging base 30, bumagsak. So, what did you find out? Zero to 65. Oh, ano na mas gusto mo sa dalawa? Yung base 30 or yung base 50? Kasi pasado. So, meaning here, if you will notice, if the base is getting lower and lower, 50, 30, 20, 10, your grades will become lower and lower too. Kasi konti ang pinamigay konti ang given. But if the base is getting higher and higher, yung 50, naging 60, naging 70, naging 80, pag 100, wala na. Pinamigay mo na yung 100 na grades. Hindi na na-consider ang score ng bata. Kasi you just give an additional 50, 60, 70, 80, the lower the quality of the grading system. Kasi you are giving a large amount of the score. Kaya medyo hindi maganda siya kapag medyo tumataas yung base. So, it will be better na bumababa ang base. Kaya nga, base 0 ang pinakamaganda. Kasi yun ang actual grade ng bata. But the point is, if your students are slow learners, mahirap ang absolute grading system. Mahirap makapasa kapag absolute grading system. That's why you can say, it will be better to use the relative grading system kapag norm reference ang ginagamit. Since you are comparing the performance of one student with another student. So, with that, tingnan nyo yun, Sa base 10, base 20, 30, 40, libre na yan. Libre na siya. Now, kung tataas yun, yung 10, mababa makukuha ng bata, 20. Pero pag naging 60, 70, 80, 90 ang base, tumataas ang grades ng bata. Pero bumababa ang quality ng grading system kapag tumataas ang base. Pero kaya nga ang ginagamit sa iba, base 50 lang. Para normal, nasa gitna lang kayo. Hindi kayo namigay ng mataas, hindi rin kayo namigay ng mababa. That is the average one, the normal one. Pero sa ibang teacher, they are using the base 30. Para hindi naman masyadong masakit sa part nila na nagbigay silang lang ng only 30 points lang. Did you get it? Naintindihan po ba? Okay. So, we have to be considerate. But the point is, we have to give the grades fairly. Yung deserving. Baka naman magbigay puro flat 1 tapos wala namang natutunan ng bata. Yung nagbigay na puro 100, 100, hindi na nag-compute, hindi na nag-check. Masakit yun sa teacher, ha? Natutuwa ang mga students. Yes, you are very happy. Everyone got flat 1. But how did the teacher evaluate you? Paano lumabas yung 100? Ako nga 0 doon, 100 pa rin. There's a big problem already. The teacher is not concerned about your performance. They just want to get you pass without knowing whether what is really your performance in the subject. Mas maganda nakukompute talaga kayo. Nakukompute talaga yung real performance ng bawat isa. Okay, so let's proceed now. Now, with the grading system components, we have 3 important components. Written works, performance tasks, and quarterly exam. Yan po ang ating hahanapin kapag nagkukompute tayo. How to compute it kapag written works, yan ang yung essay, long quizzes, written reports, mga output niyan. Then, for performance, the demonstration, the group presentation, your oral work, your research project, even your teaching demonstration is a part of it. Lahat ng performance-based. And in outcomes-based education, yan po ang focus natin. The outcome per se, it's more on performance-based. And then the last one will be your quarterly examination, which cover your periodical, the midterm, the final. Diyan na po siya papasok. Ito yung tinatawag nating summative exam ng mga major exams na natin. How to compute the grades? I will not go deeper, no? Sa 1 to 12, the same yan ang ginagamit every quarter. Establishing grading system, I will not go deeper also with it because it was discussed already. Let us just have the passing by of this one since we have to focus on the computation. Now, this is very important because it might give frustration or confusion on the person who is getting the grade if ever the criteria will not be discussed. Kaya dapat malinaw na malinaw ang discussion. So let's proceed now to important thing. How to compute per final grades and general average in depth ed. So this is it. So, you get the total score of each component. Ano yung each component na yun? Written work, performance, and quarterly assessment. But it should be converted first to percentage score. Ano, paano ulit mag-change ng percentage score? Ang formula ay the same all throughout, hindi mababago. Raw score, yun yung actual score nyo. over the total score times 100. Laging ganon ha. Raw score over the total times 100. And let us see how to do it. Okay, this is now the sample one that I had given you. Na-discuss din natin, pero I want it to make it in detail. We have how many written works here? 7. So what are we going to do? You just add all the scores of the 7 written works. That is the total of 145. But for the perfect score, yung highest, it should be 160. Okay, that is for written work, ha? Now for performance, how many performance tasks do we have? 6. So simply add all this, you got 100. But for the highest possible score, that will be 120. Now for the quarterly exam, that will be 40 ang score niya out of 50, which is the perfect score. Now, let us now convert the raw score. Alin ba ang raw score? Yung actual score nila into a percentage by simply dividing the raw score to the highest score or total score. That means 145 over 160 times 100, 100 over 120 times 100, and 40 over 50 times 100. Let us see. Okay, yun ang formula ha. Hindi mababago. Total raw score divided by the highest possible score or total score times 100 po lagi. Okay, this is it. Yan. 145 divided by 160 times 100 is 90.63. For written work only. Written work pa lang ha. Sa performance, 100 divided by 120 times 100 is 83.33 for percentage ng performance. But for the quarterly, that will be 40 over 50 times 100, which is 80. So you've got the 90.63 for the written work, 83.33 for the percentage of the performance, and then 80 for the quarterly assessment. Now, what is the next thing that you have to do after getting the percentage? You must know the weight. Ano ba ang value ng bawat isang component? What is the weight to be given for written work, for performance, and quarterly? So, dapat alam natin yon. Okay. Now, how to do it? You just simply multiply your percentage score to the weight of the component. Ganun lang. I-multiply natin lang. Okay, let us see. Now here, the weight of the written work is 30%. Hindi naman natin pwedeng gamitin ng 30% na may percent sign. So, what is the value of 30% in decimal? Anong value? Okay, very good. So, multiplication lang ha. Pag ganyan, ayun no. So, 90.63 times 0.30, the answer will be 27.19. And then for the performance, yung 83, kasi 50% ang weight, so magiging 0.50, the answer will be 41.67. And for the weight of quarterly exam, that is only 20%, that is 0.2 or 0.20, so multiplied by 80, you will have 16. So you got the weighted score of the written work, which is 27.19. The performance is 41.67. And for quarterly exam is 16. May question ba sa part na yan po? Tanong po tayo. Is it clear at that point? Reaction po. You might have some question along the way. O, si Irene, it's okay. No question? Okay. How about the others? Irene is not the only student I have. I have 13 students here. Everything is clear? Hope so. Please lang po, do not feel hesitant to ask question. Okay. Now, where did we get the weight? Ito po yung mga weight ng components from grades 1 to 10. So, kapag languages, AP, at saka ESP here, yung values, written work is 30, performance is 50, and 20. So, yung kanina natin sa English yun. Now, kapag science and math, it is 40, 40, 20. Laging 100% ang total, ha? But if it is a work-oriented siya, MAPE, may mga performances yan, EPP, TLE, work-oriented yan, even sa computer, no? Work-oriented. You will notice that the performance task has a greater value weight 60%. So, 20% lang yung written work sa kanila, 20% lang ang quarterly assessment, pero yung performance is 60%. Why? Because the course, the subject, MAPE, EPP, and TL are more on work-oriented. So, performance-based talaga sila. So, that's why they have the performance has a greater weight there. Yan ay sa grade 1 to 10. Okay, sa senior high, by track naman. I know each one of you is already familiar here kasi nag-senior high kayo, di ba? Am I right? Oh, so, alam nyo na yan, ha? Alam nyo na yan. Iba-iba ang written work, performance task, quarterly task. Meron kayong core subject, sa all other subjects, meron din kayong work immersion, din sa mga textbook, iba-iba din po siya ang mga percentage niyan. So, in this case, the senior high school, deeper also based on, ang core subject na tinutukoy natin yung English, Math, Science, yan kasama dyan. Sa textbook na yung mga, sa work-oriented na siya. Academic track, Humanities, MUMS, iba-iba kayo na ano. Sa specialization. Okay. Yan po ang sa senior high. So, the sum of the weighted scores and its component will be the initial grade. But there is a need to look the transmutation table for the transmuted grade. So, hindi pa rin siya final. So, let us see. Yun, no? You have now to add the written work, no? The performance task, and the quarterly assessment. Upon adding, you come up with 84.86. And that is considered the initial grade pa lang. Now, where can we get the final grade based on the transmutation table? So, tandaan lang, 84.86, hanapin po natin dun sa transmutation table. Okay. May I ask someone, what is the transmuted grade of 84.86? Where can you find it? Yes, please make it loud. What is it? 90. So, it falls in 84, between 84 and 85.59. Therefore, that grade, no, that grade that we have a while ago, which is 84.86, which is the initial grade, will turn to be 90 as it is now your transmuted grade because you just use the transmutation table. Yan po ang gagamitin nyo para makita nyo yung grades where they have to put in the card. Now, what about if the grade of the student is 60? 60 ang initial grade. What is the transmuted grade of 60? 75. Diba? Ang grade ko 60. Pero pagdating ko sa card, 75. Why? Because it is that initial grade has been transmuted, no? Using the transmutation table. Kumbaga, meron ng additional. Andyan pa rin yung relative grading system along the way. Kahit pa sabihin nyo, ay, absolute ang ginagamit ng DepEd, kung ano talaga ano natin. But at the end, andun pa rin yung transmutation table that is still related to relative grading system. Meron pa rin silang base, kung ano na base 50, base 30, base 4. It depends kung kukumputin natin ito. Now, to make it easier for them, they have to use the transmutation table without computing it anymore, but just find out where that initial grade will fall. Is it clear? Is it clear po? Okay. So, that's it. Now, for grades 1 to 10, madali lang ang computation ng grade nila. Averaging lang eh. Okay, so let's proceed now. So, maliwanag doon. Pero pag general average, you have to consider all the learning areas. Learning areas na tinutukoy ko, lahat ng subjects divided by the number of subjects per grade level. Ito naman yun. Pinakita natin yung sample. Yun, no? General average na. Now, for grades 11 and 12, 2 quarters, meron silang parang sa college, meron tayong midterm, final, yung first semester, second semester. Ganun din dito. Meron silang 2 quarters na kinoconsider. Yung first and second, that is the first quarter. Third and fourth will be the final quarter. Okay, but the computation will still be the same. Now, in kindergarten, what is being usually used here? Move na tayo sa kindergarten. Hindi kindergarten, I repeat ha. Kindergarten. So, the usual thing that you will be using here are checklist, no? Checklist, anecdotal records, portfolios, yan ang mga kalimitan. And they are being presented to parents at the end of each quarter for discussion. Maraming parents dito ang stage mother or stage father, kaya we really need to be very, very careful. And how to handle our students, talagang extra care kasi alam natin ang mga bata sa kinder. And if you will notice, sa kinder, dapat magkakatulad ang gamit nila. No? Para maalis yung inggitan. Kumbaga, the same thing are being used. No? The notebook, the paper, at least for uniformity. Their focus are just the same. But with the grades, they're using letter so that they will not be grade conscious. Ang parents dapat hindi din grade conscious. Hindi natin pwedeng turuan ng parents maging grade conscious din. Okay? And they are using what? Outstanding, very satisfactory, satisfactory, fairly satisfactory as an example. Pero sa iba ang ginagamit nilang rubrics, iba-iba ang ginagamit. Depende sa private school, may kanila silang system, lalo na pag private, iba din ang DepEd sa kindergarten here. Gumagamit sila ng different descriptors as part of the rubrics. Okay, that's it. Part of it. Ang computation ng grades almost the same din po. Kaya lang nag-a-appear siya sa card na ang ginagamit ay more on checklist and letters. Now, the reason why we do not want to make our student develop that mentality as being grade conscious. Lalo na pag mga bata yan. Marami dyan maiinggit, o bakit ang kulay ng gamit niya ay ganito, bakit ang grades niya ay mas mataas kaysa sa akin. So, in that case, to be fair, letter lang makikita. A, more frequent, most frequent, never mga ganun nakikita nila. Or it might be A plus, A minus. But the teachers there should be very careful in presenting this to the student, to the parents. Kasi ang parents kasi, they are somewhat so conscious, no? May mga conscious parents about the grades of their own children. Question po? Question please, that is the last one. Anything more? So this afternoon, I'll be sending to you in LMS, no, the activity that you have to answer, which is related to the computation of grades. Sorry that it takes a long time kasi medyo mahaba po ang oras natin at discuss natin yun. But I hope with this session, you learn a lot or you learn more on the computation of the measures of central tendencies, the item analysis, and the computations of the grades. Any question po again? For the last time, any question, please? Yes po, do it. And if you have question, just let me know sa GC so that we can catch up kung ano yung kulang. And try to ask your classmate, not the answer, but the way on how to compute it. Hindi kayo matututo kapag itatanong nyo yung sagot. Tanong nyo kung paano na-compute, and that will be better. Turuan nyo ang fisherman na mga isda. At huwag nyo siya laging bigyan ng isda. Did you get what I mean? Did you get what I mean? Okay, so hindi kayo matututo kung lagi kayo manghihingi ng sagot. Pero matututo kayo kung magpapatulong kayo humanap kung paano mag-arrive sa sagot. Okay, so with that, thank you so much. I want you to be blessed all the way and stay safe and good luck po. Thank you and God bless you.